Since free agency started, the Eagles haven't signed one player on the offensive side of the board. They watched a top 3 wide receiver get traded. We watched the top 3 wide receiver free agents all get signed. Yet the Eagles are quiet. They're super quiet. And this quietness, this speaks louder than words to me. This tells me the Eagles got something big brewing. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. And earlier today I did a video. And in the video, I was talking about how I think the Eagles need 3 wide receivers this offseason. I think they need to draft 2 of them and then get 1 in free agency. And I talked about Robbie Anderson, and I talked about Breshad Perriman, and I talked about Demarcus Robinson, and I talked about possible trades that they could make. I talked about a lot of the wide receivers we've been talking pretty much all offseason about, okay? Well, about an hour, maybe 2 hours after I post that video, of course, Robbie Anderson signs with the Carolina Panthers. And as soon as he signs, Breshad Perriman is going to follow soon after. And of course, about an hour, 2 hours later, he signs with the New York Jets. So the Eagles, who are in desperate need of a wide receiver, in my opinion, desperate need of wide receivers, okay, who passed up on getting DeAndre Hopkins, who were linked to guys like Amari Cooper and Robbie Anderson, Breshad Perriman, all those guys are off the board. They're all off the board, and the Eagles are still stuck with what they have. Guys that are old, guys that are injured, guys that are slow. And I gotta tell you, I'm not even mad. I'm not even upset right now. I'm not even panicking right now. Look at that. Totally cool. I'm chill. Because I know that this quietness, the fact that the Eagles have not made one move on the offensive side of the ball, tells me that they got a plan. And the plan is basically what I've been saying all season. Use free agency for defense, use the draft for offense, and trade up and get one of the top 3 wide receivers. You got to do it. Now, when I look at everything that's happening, I think that that's going to happen. I think the Eagles are going to trade up for a top 3 wide receiver. And I don't care. You can argue which one. Ruggs, Judy Lamb. They're going for the best. They're going to go for which one they think the best is. And I think they're going to be aggressive. And I think they're going to make an aggressive move to go get one. And the fact that nothing has happened offensively tells me all I need to know. Because look, you have a quarterback going into his prime years, Carson Wentz. You are paying him big money. We all know he needed help last year. We all know he had to carry practice squad guys. And they played good and were given an opportunity. When they were given an opportunity to play, they played good. And they deserve to come back this year and have a shot to compete. No question about it. But the Eagles got to know. They got to look at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl. They got to look at these teams in the NFL. They got to know, we got to get better on offense. We got to get more explosive. They've already admitted this by all the moves they made in the coaching staff to bring in people to help implement a better passing concept for this team. So they know it. They're aware of it. But what's the play? What's the move? And I'm telling you, it's got to be getting one of these top 3 wide receivers. It has to be. I feel like something big is brewing. And look, it could be possibly that they're going to stay at 21, take a receiver, and they're getting ready to trade for a veteran. This is possible too. I mean, who? I don't know. Could it be Odell Beckham? Maybe. I don't think it's Julio Jones because they said he's $31 million against the Falcons cap. So I don't know who it is, but I got to believe that the Eagles, They have a plan at the wide receiver position. And in some ways, it's like, oh, we lost Robbie Anderson. Oh, Breshad Perriman. And not Breshad Perriman, to me, wasn't like the greatest thing ever, and it wasn't going to solve all our problems. He was a bit of a risk. No question. His last 5 games were unbelievable. They were great. He showed his talent. But if you look at his career, not that great. He's bounced around. However, the good thing about him was he was so cheap. You figure, I think the Jets signed him for a 1-year, $8 million contract. So he was cheap. You take a shot. Maybe he explodes. He's great. Now you have a guy you didn't think you had anything with, But They let him go. Maybe Demarcus Robinson, maybe that's the guy next. Probably post this video and they'll sign him. But even if they do sign him, he's okay. I mean, he has maybe some potential, but he's not going to solve all your problems. Okay? I think there's a big move coming. There's got to be a big move coming. And look, it could be a trade for draft picks. It could be the trade that people really, some people don't want to talk about. Could be the trade that you don't want to hear about or you don't believe can happen, because it can happen and it might happen. And I'm talking about Zach Ertz. Okay, Zach Ertz is a all-time great Eagle. And when I bring this idea up, some people get upset, and I understand why. I don't blame you for wanting to double moonwalk this ass. I don't blame you, because it's frustrating when you think of the guy who helped you win a Super Bowl. I get it. But when you look at the facts and you sit back and you try to look at it rationally, not from a fan and, not emotionally, and you just look at it logically, he is 29 years old. He has already rejected a contract to make him the highest paid tight end because he feels he's the number one wide receiver, which truthfully he is. He's their best receiving option, so he wants to get paid like it. And you got a young stud, in my opinion, sitting behind him, whose contract is up for an extension after this season. So, if the Eagles know all these things, know he wants to get paid big money, know you have a guy behind him, he may be the guy to package and go up and get the receiver you need. This is something I did a video on weeks and weeks ago, but now, with all the information about, him rejecting a contract coming out and seeing how the Eagles haven't signed one offensive player, this is more and more of a possibility. And I think this could be one of those draft day shocking trades. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's possible. I do think the Eagles are going up to get a top 3 wide receiver. I really, truly believe that in my heart. And here's the problem with that. The problem is every other team behind you knows it. Every other team in front of you know it. They all know it because you have signed nobody this free agency period. So there's going to be no surprise to everybody that the Eagles need a receiver. So what do teams do? Teams try to jump you, or teams try to charge you a lot of strato, a lot of fazuls. That's what they try to do because they know that you're banking on it. So when that happens and they start asking for higher picks and this and that, the move may be to trade the tight end, to trade Ertz. It's possible. I love Ertz. I really do. Yes, he's Carson Wentz's best weapon. He's the guy Carson leans on. But you know what? Maybe Carson shouldn't lean on one guy all the time. Maybe Carson Wentz would grow as a quarterback having to lose Ertz. I'm just looking at this from a positive perspective. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying it should happen. I'm just saying this is a legitimate possibility. I'm trying to think about what is happening with this Eagles team. They know they need weapons. Could they keep Alshon Jeffrey? Very possible. It's very possible at this point. However, if you bring Alshon Jeffrey back, if you don't do anything at your receiving core, you're not going to be very fast. You're not going to be very explosive. You're going to have older players, and you're going to risk further injury again. You have to bring in young guys. And if they do choose to bring back Alshon Jeffrey, wouldn't you want to have a guy like Judy to take his wing after a year, or a Lamb to take over after 1 year? I think you have to. So whether they keep Alshon, whether they get rid of him, whether they trade Ertz, whether they don't, the point is offense is going to be the heavy play in the draft. No question about it. They are going up into the top, I won't say top 10, but they're going to go get a top 3 wide receiver. I just can't see anything else. The only thing else I can see is you go and you make a big trade. You trade for Odell Beckham or somebody like that. You trade for a premier wide receiver. That's possible. They had a chance with DeAndre Hopkins. He was pretty cheap, but he wanted a contract extension. Well, you know what? I would have given him the contract extension and figured it out later because I like him that much. I said this earlier. Offense wins championships in today's football. This is a passing league now. The rules are geared towards passing, and I truly believe it. Now, I did leave something out of that equation. I would say you need a what was I saying? Oh yeah, offense wins championships in this league, but you have to have an opportunistic defense. You have to have a defense that at the right time makes the right play. Think about Super Bowl 52, where the Eagles, Brandon Graham strip sacks Tom Brady, right? That pretty much helped us win the Super Bowl. But it was one play. Tom Brady also threw for over 500 yards. So, yes, offense wins championships, and you need to have an opportunistic defense. That's why the Eagles focus so heavily on the defensive line, because getting to the quarterback provides a lot of those opportunities. But anyways, the Eagles need a receiver. The Eagles are not getting receivers. They're not going to get anybody at this point in free agency that is going to change the dynamic of this offense. It's not going to happen. It's going to have to be trade, or it's going to have to be through the draft. And I'm expecting maybe both of them to happen. But at the very least, the Eagles are going to trade up and get a top 3 receiver. I really believe that. And I know for all you guys who hate when I talk about that Zach Ertz trade and hate the possibility, I just ask you, try to just think about it without the emotional attachment to Ertz, because I love Ertz. I loved him. I love the guy, okay? I love him, but he's 29 years old, and I want this team to win multiple Super Bowls. And if that's the only way we can get up, then we got to do it. I ask you to think about it, because I know it's very hard. I know the Eagles play a lot of 12-man personnel, but the Eagles need to get faster. They need to get better on the outside. And they got a 33-year-old wide receiver, and then they got a 30-year-old guy who has a Liz Frank injury. He's probably not going to play half the season. You got an Arcega-Whiteside, who people are like, we just got to trust Arcega-Whiteside. He'll be okay. He's the guy. He's going to be fine. I can't trust it. Because Howie Roseman does not draft good wide receivers. That's a fact. So, yes, today we saw the top 3, the remaining top receivers go off the board in free agency. But I'm not worried at all, because I know the Eagles have something big coming. They definitely have something big coming. Let me know what you think in the comment section. What next for the Eagles at the wide receiver position? And you probably see me do a live stream some point tomorrow. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.